Hey everybody, what's happening? I am back with another quick film review for you, and today I'm going to be taking a look at Michael. Yes, I went to go see this, even though I already know everything about Michael Jackson's career. I mean, who doesn't? You know, he's so famous. But I thought I would check it out anyway, and it's okay. It's not the best, but it's not bad. It's been very successful at the box office, so that's interesting to see, despite all the bad reviews out there. So no spoilers in this review, by the way. I'm not going to spoil anything, but then again, like Michael Jackson, everybody knows Michael Jackson, so what am I spoiling, right? Nothing, because everybody already knows his journey, up to a certain point anyway, in his life. So the film was directed by Antoine Fuqua and written by John Logan, and it stars the very talented Jafar Jackson, nephew of Michael Jackson. It also stars Nia Long and Mike Myers, Miles Teller, and Coleman Domingo, among others. So, I know, it's another biopic about a famous musician. Maybe we've had too many of these already. But, you know, it is interesting. This one though, it feels a little incomplete by the end. It doesn't cover every memorable moment from the King of Pop's career, nor does it get into the later controversies. But, you know, they wanted to focus on the positives here. It is produced by the Jackson family, after all. They made a film here that does look at Jackson's rough childhood and then his rise to fame, culminating in his dominance of the pop music world by the end of the 80s. It is a tale about a boy who's raised to be the lead singer of a group of five brothers, the Jackson Five, of course. And unfortunately, it's a rough road because Michael doesn't get to have a normal childhood. He is abused by his perfectionist father, Joe Jackson, who doesn't take any lip, and he's a big fan of physical discipline. So, yeah, pretty rough childhood there for Michael. Michael Jackson's real-life nephew, Jafar Jackson, does a really good job here, though, of portraying his late uncle. He's got the dance moves down, that's for sure. Coleman Domingo and Nia Long are especially good as his parents, Joe and Catherine. So the performances are really good here across the board. The classic songs, of course, will be in your head as you leave the theater. Nothing wrong with that, but perhaps we could have gotten a little bit more insight into Michael as a person, you know, more of his personal life outside of his family. It really does just focus on his career, including, you know, his rise on MTV and that darn Pepsi commercial where things went wrong, you know. So, yeah, it does focus on a lot of the famous things that we already know about from, you know, reading about his career, or if you were there, like me, if you're a Gen Xer or a Boomer and you remember, you know, the moonwalk and you remember all these things, you know, it's a pretty nostalgic experience, I gotta say. But it does feel like just part one. You know, I felt like it was kind of like Dune, where, you know, like we needed a part two, you know. This one's just, it does feel like just a part one, you know. It's a, so maybe the box office success will lead to a sequel, which will deal with darker themes and things that happened to him in his life. But as it stands, you know, Michael is very entertaining. But if you are sick of biopics of famous singers, especially, then yeah, definitely pass on this one. You know, wait for streaming if you want to. Really, I felt like A Complete Unknown was much better because it really got deep into the drama. We got to know more about Bob Dylan as a person. Michael just feels like a kind of a half of an A&E biography. Really, you know, it's like a the soundtrack is like a greatest hits album, and they just had to fill it with story. It feels that way. But the talented cast, they do make it work. It is a suitable love letter to the gloved one. But yeah, definitely could have used a lot more story. If you love Michael Jackson's music, then by all means, you go see it. You'll definitely dig it. But otherwise, I would just wait until streaming for this one. So I'm going to give Michael a 6.5 out of 10. Diverting, entertaining. A lot of it is impressive, but just the story seemed short. You know, like I said, it seemed like part one, and it really leaves you wanting more. And when the film ends, you're like, well, what about this? What about that part? What about his death? Right? I mean, they didn't really get into any of that stuff. Unfortunately, so it is that kind of a movie where, you know, it just does mainly focus on his rise to fame, and forget everything else for now, I guess. We'll have to wait and see if they do indeed make a sequel. All right, well, that's all for this quick review of Michael, and I thank you guys for tuning in, and until next time, peace.